In an absolutely, well, let's say pathetically sad story, Drew Barrymore gets pimped by these unions. Let's just go over the story first and foremost. It's covered by the Wrap. She's to pause their show premiere until strike ends. I've listened to everyone. Now, for you guys that don't know, she was about to go still do this show despite the strikes being a thing. And as expected on social media, all of these union members, actors, actresses had a lot to say about it. And so now this is what's going to happen. Hosts face significant backlash for resuming production without writers. Drew Barrymore has chosen to delay the premiere of the Drew Barrymore show until the writer's strike ends after her decision to resume production without writers faced significant backlash. And this is what she says. I have listened to everyone, and I am making the decision to pause the show's premiere until the strike is over. I have no words to express my deepest apologies to anyone I have hurt, and of course to our incredible team who worked on the show and has made it what it is today. We really tried to find our way forward, and truly I hope for a resolution for the entire industry soon. Now this to me is funny, and I'm going to tell you why it's funny, right? Because unions, as I've said many times, are gay. There's some people that really get angry when I mention that because they are under this ahistorical notion that the unions are ever benevolent institution and that got them weekends and all this other stuff, and people would be abused and used had it not been for the unions. And that's what they tell themselves for, because they want to believe that the money that they're being pimped out of as members of these unions to have other people speak on their behalf is of course justified. Nobody wants to feel like they're getting pimped, of course. So what do? You rationalize with the decision. And this one's so obvious because it's more of a public humiliation kind of thing. It's literal pimping, right? It's like you get in step and you better get in step. Right, is really how it was, and now she has decided, despite that being against her original wishes, she's decided to now not carry on with the show until the strike ends. Now, this is why the collectivist notion of a notion is goofy anyway, because what happens is everybody loses, right? And that's the way that they see that this is the only way that it works. You pay into this pot of people who are supposed to be speaking on your behalf. So no matter what, because we've seen even the conflicts and we've covered them, the conflicts that happen between the union members with some of these writers and some of the demands that are coming from the union, that a lot of writers are like, we didn't ask for this, right? Well, you're going to get it. And if it holds up deals, well, that's more time that you're out of work. Okay. And that's what's goofy about this whole thing, because now you have a bunch of people who are wanting to work. They're ready to work. They have a desire to work, and now they're not going to. Why? Because you have strikes going on. With this, in this case, is more unique to the writers, though the actors and actresses on strike as well. But the same exact thing can be said, and that is that you're going to miss out on money and you're not going to get paid because these guys are having a conflict on your behalf, and you got pimped. Now, again, it was always a shakedown, and now you have two like groups of people that may not be the best and maybe they deserve each other, right? But on a serious note, as you've heard me say a million times, this is a economic setup that is moronic. And however, I can understand why people are so protective of it, because if it was far more decentralized, you probably don't have a spot, or you don't have a guaranteed spot on the other side. So what do? You beg the studios. They say, oh, it's not about begging. That's exactly what it is. Right? We're supposed to believe these people are so creative. They know what people want. They've got all their academics in line. They understand the markets, and all of these geniuses don't come up with their own studios and creative ways to fund it, and then start creating by themselves and correcting the economic problems it is that they think are an issue. You want writers to get paid a certain way? Okay, go do it. But they don't. Why? Because that's not what this is about. It's a shakedown, bro. It always has been. And this is why they're a match made in hell. And anytime that you call it for what it is, you're going to have a side that is claiming that you're protective of the others. And that's what's the hilarious like narrative surrounding these strikes is that, hey, if you aren't like for or backing these actors and actresses and writers, then you are somehow some mega corporate, big corporation protector. And it's like, no, jackass. You guys are the pro mega corporate entity that's a part of this conflict, not us. Because if it were up to me, unions wouldn't be a thing. And this industry wouldn't look like it does right now. But y'all want dough from the people that got it. And that's the mega corporations. Otherwise, you'd be doing it yourself. Oh, it costs money. Yeah, no shit. That's what it's about. And I wish they just say that. You want other people to continue to take the risk. Y'all ain't as creative as you like to think. Or better, maybe it's this. You realize and recognize that there's no true demand for the services that it is that you want to provide. And by that, I mean that in the event that the union didn't exist and the industry didn't exist as it is, where the established channels are gone, where a lot of it with several industries, it's not just with like acting and it's other forms of entertainment, where it's a status quo and people are just going through the motions, even if it doesn't make sense. And of course, those that have benefited from that setup the most are going to be the most protective of it, because they don't know if it ends the way that it does and the way that they have traditionally got gigs goes away and it looks different. Well, do you have a spot? You don't know. And that's scary to them. But watching these fools get pimped by these unions it's certainly representative of what they've always been, mafia-esque. And when you consider the history of them in this country, well, they certainly have mafia ties, and they just getting back to the roots, shaking you down.